and welcome to the Knitting Jungle podcast. This is episode 7, and thanks to everyone who is a subscriber because I hit 1,000 subscribers after my last episode, so thank you very much if you're one of the subscribers. And also thank you to everyone who wrote me a lovely comment. I do read and respond to all your comments, so thanks so much for taking the time to write to me. Especially if you write about a pattern that you're working on. I always look up the pattern, and if I like it, I add it to my own list of things to make. But if you're new here, hello, my name's Sarah. I live in the US in Massachusetts in the Boston area, and this is a podcast where I talk about mostly knitting, but sometimes crochet and also sewing. I'm known for my colorwork knitting. I like to also knit with wool from around the world, especially non-superwash, rustic, woolly wools. Those are my favorite types of yarn to work with. And I also try to find patterns and designers from all over the world, especially I think Norway has my favorite designers and patterns. I just love that design aesthetic. So you'll find a lot of that here on this channel as well. So it's been about a month since my last podcast. I actually can't believe how much time has passed. But me and my family went to California and Hawaii for vacation. We went on a big family trip to California with my husband's parents, his aunt and uncle, his brother and sister-in-law and their kid, and then our 2 kids. So it was a nice group of 11 people. And we had so much fun. We rented a house in San Diego, and the cousins were playing and the grown-ups were chit-chatting, and we went to the beach. And maybe I'll insert some footage, but the beaches in San Diego were amazing, and hopefully I'll get to go back one day. And then after the family vacation portion, just us 4, my husband and 2 kids, we went to Hawaii because we were already halfway there having flown from Boston to California. So we figured, let's just go back to Hawaii. We've been several times before, but it was back when we lived in California, and it's a much shorter flight, especially without kids. But my kids are 6 and 4 now, so a little older, and they're very good travelers. So anyways, we went back to Hawaii, and it was amazing. We went to Maui, that's our favorite island. And yeah, we just swam in the pool every day, went to the beach, had fresh fruit. And yeah, we had a great time, and I think we're still recovering a little bit. The time difference is only 6 hours, but I'm still finding myself wanting to sleep in every morning, which is impossible now that school has started back up. My older girl is in 1st grade, and my younger girl is in her last year of preschool. So all very exciting new changes here. But that's why I've been so busy and haven't been able to record. But the good news is that so much time has passed that I have about 1 million things to share with you today. Well, not 1 million, but you know what I mean. So today I have 5 finished objects and 1 whip, so we better get started. I have 2 finished sweaters, 1 pair of mittens, 1 tank or camisole, and these little crocheted toys right here. So without further ado, let's get started. So my first finished object is what I'm wearing today. This is the Circet sweater by Kate Davies. If you've seen my last maybe 1 or 2 episodes, you will have seen me working on this, and I just love how this turned out. It's probably the smoothest pattern I've ever done, as in it went very smoothly from start to finish. No problems, no mistakes. I love the pattern. It was so well written. So Kate Davies is now my top designer because everything was super clear, and the fit and construction is 5 stars. So yeah, I can't recommend her highly enough. But let me refer to my notes. I already finished this a while ago, and it's surprising how fast you will forget everything that you spent hours and hours doing. Okay, I'll talk about the fit and the construction of this. So this is knit bottom up. It starts with a twisted rib down here. Okay, so I lied. There's one mistake I did. I knit the bottom ribbing in the round because I didn't want to do twisted rib. I didn't want to do the purl through the back loop for the twisted rib. And then after that, I thought I'll just cut this because I made it in the round. So I cut it and then just started the rest of the pattern. It's worked bottom up. But I didn't realize the twisted rib is not the same on both sides. So the beautiful twisted rib portion is now on the inside, but that's okay. But that is one mistake, and that's totally on me for trying to do shortcuts. But anyway, so it's knit bottom up, and then once you get to the armpit area, you separate the two front panels and the back, and then you knit those separately. And that part went super fast because you're just doing like a narrow panel back and forth. So yeah, then you knit those all the way up to the shoulders, and then to join the shoulders, you do a 3 needle bind off, which I had never done before, and it was like pretty much just a regular bind off, but with an extra loop in there. So that was very easy, and something new that I learned with this pattern, which is always great. Okay, so then after you've basically made like the vest portion of this, you pick up stitches for the sleeves. So it's like kind of a drop shoulder design. You pick up stitches and then knit the sleeves all the way down to the cuff. And that's pretty much it. And then at the end, you do the ribbed collar here. This is also twisted rib. Yeah, everything was twisted rib here. And then, oh, the button band was really cool. It's like a twisted rib button band. And then it has an I-cord edge, which I've never done before. It was like an I-cord bind off. And it was actually really easy. I was always intimidated to do that. But what I thought was really cool also is that the buttonholes are made while you do the I-cord bind off. And I just thought that was really cool, a cool way to do it. And it also, let's say you don't have enough width in your cardigan, this way of doing the buttonhole right at the tippy edge here makes it so that you have a lot of width here to add to your body if you need. So for example, how I've done buttonholes in the past is the hole is like right in the center of the button band, and then you have to pull it all the way over, and then you just get one width for your button band, which is good too. But if you need extra room, you can do it like this and you get the double width, if that makes any sense. But so that was the second technique I learned with this pattern, which is very nice. Now let me, and for the pattern, it's very beautiful and you don't need any cable needles at all. So there's kind of this diamondy shape. It's all made with knits and pearls and something else. I've already forgotten what it's called, but you don't need a cable needle for it. So there's a lot going on. You definitely won't get bored, but you are doing something every other row if you're knitting flat at least, or no, and in the round as well. The easy rows, you're just knitting the knit stitches and purling the purl stitches. And then on the hard working rows, those take quite a while. Like in the beginning when I first started the pattern, each round was taking me like 30 minutes or something. But then I just kept going faster and faster the more I practiced with the pattern. And then by the time I was doing the sleeves, I was getting super fast at the pattern, and the sleeves like flew by, and I hate doing sleeves. But speaking of sleeves, so if you've seen my previous podcast, you'll know that I got a knitting machine recently, and I've been experimenting with all the things it can do, and all the ways it can help accomplish all of my very long to-do list of sweaters and other things that I need to make. So what I did, and I was pretty pleased with myself for this, so for the sweater pattern, it's half of it, the front half is this like beautiful design that's all over the body as well. And then the underside of the sleeve is like a reverse stockinette. So I thought, oh, I'm just gonna do that part on the machine. So I split the sleeve into two pieces, and I knit this top part by hand, obviously in the like the pattern. And then for this, I hooked this section onto the machine and just did the exact same length as the rest of the sleeve. That makes sense, right? The only thing is that the gauge of my knitting machine is a little too tight, even though I had it on the loosest tension possible. So what I had to do was cast on like an extra 5 stitches on each side just to make it as wide as it needed to be. But once I did that, it was all good to go, and it's pretty forgiving, like wide sleeve pattern. And then I just joined them up at the end and then knit the cuff by hand. So that is a really cool way to use the knitting machine. If stockinette bores you, or I don't like doing sleeves, so that really helped me out, and I was very pleased with myself. And speaking of the sleeves, I think I had one comment on my last podcast. They were interested to know, they were concerned about how much balloon shaping or how puffy this would be, and like maybe it's not too flattering. So I just wanted to show off that sleeve a little bit, and I think it's fine. I could easily get this in a jacket. It's loose and comfortable, but it's not like, there's definitely not much bulk up here. So yeah, I don't find it too poofy or balloony, but yeah, just wanted to show you in case you're watching again and would like to see how the sleeves turned out. Let me also mention the buttons, because I love those. These are the Moorland buttons by Merchant and Mills. I just thought the warm brown color looked really good with this oatmeal color, or light gray. It's not oatmeal, this is light gray color of the yarn. Okay, so I didn't even talk about the yarn yet because I got too carried away with everything else. But this is Garthenor Organic Beacons, and the color is Marble. And I do have an extra ball of this left. I was really worried about running out, so I wound up with an extra ball. Because I did run out actually about halfway through, so I ordered 2 extra balls to make sure. And so yeah, this is a nice DK weight yarn. I can use this for I've got a lot of DK weight yarns in my stash, so this will just, get thrown in there and hopefully be used on another project. It's very, very soft. So so the reason why this yarn is so soft is because 75% of it is made from the Polwarth sheep, which has a 19 micron softness level, I guess, however you say it. And yeah, it is super soft. And then the rest of the 25% is made of Hebridean and, let's see what else. Oh, Romney sheep. And all the different sheep come from different parts of the UK and, yeah, it says England, Falkland, and Wales. So, oh, and when I got the yarn, it came with a map of the area, and then somebody hand drew in the different locations that all the sheep lived based on which yarn I had bought. So I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, so the needles, I actually don't remember which needles I used. I know for sure I used 3mm on the ribbing, and I think I used a 4mm on the body. Yeah. And one other thing I forgot to mention is that I made the 3rd size, and this yarn with the 4mm needle combination, I met gauge perfectly. So the 3rd size worked for me, and I've got like a 37-inch bust, and this has some good amount of positive ease. Not too much, but it's very comfortable, and it's got kind of a cropped length, like hits right at the hips. So yeah, love this. I'm gonna wear it all fall, winter, spring, everything. And now all I need to do is make the dress that she's wearing in her, in the images for this pattern. Okay, my next finished object is also a sweater. And this is the Vildnis sweater by Fiber Tales. And this is still wet. I finished it last night and I soaked it in the tub with that wool soap overnight. And this morning I smashed out all the water and was laying flat until I started recording this. So it's gonna return to being flat very soon. But this is my first yoke sweater that I ever made, and I really love the fit of this. I think the yoke design is really flattering for me personally, and the fit of this sweater is amazing. I was very excited to make a Fiber Tales pattern because I love her YouTube podcast, and so I finally made something of hers, and it went really well. The pattern was very clear. And if you see, there's so many little details here in the yoke. So Vildnis means wilderness in Danish, and she says that this yoke pattern was inspired by her walks through the woods in her area, I guess. So yeah, there's like so many little textures in here, and none of it is in your face. It's just very subtle, and I think it's just so beautiful in an understated way. I'm trying to hold it at an angle here so the light is able to catch the texture here. So it's worked top down. Usually I work bottom up, not because I like bottom up, but that's just how it seems to go with the sweaters I want to make. So yes, you start with the rib. It's like a 1x1 rib, double knitted, so it's folded back on itself. And then there's a little, I think she called it a sausage roll here, where you also kind of, oops, a little hair, where you also like knit a row back on itself to create this little sausage roll. And then there's some other little things here. But it was really fun. Ooh, and I like this herringbone section here. That's really pretty. And then that is bordered by a braid here. This braid took 1 hour. 1 hour. That round took 1 hour. So for the other braid here, I decided to skip it, and the braid kind of looked like a slip stitch crochet, so I just slip stitch crocheted right at the end to do the bottom braid there. And it does look different, but it saves some time and sanity, so I did make that adjustment. Some other adjustments I made, this didn't have any short row, ooh, this is getting stretched out. I did some short row shaping for the neck because there was none, and I thought I don't like when things are a little too high on my neck, so I just did a little bit there, which you can see. See this section here? In between here and here, that's all I did for the short row shaping. I didn't want to do too much and like alter the fit and everything, so I was kind of too scared to do more. Also the width of the neck, I started not on the first row of the pattern, but a little bit, I think I started after the first set of increases, like I cast on the amount that it would be after the first set of increases, if that makes sense, because I don't like when things just sit like too up on my neck. I wanted it to be a little bit more of a wide neck. So I did that as well, and that worked out, no consequences there. Oh, and so I was showing this on the hanger, but since it's wet, it's sliding off. But I wanted to give a shout out to one of my other favorite podcasters, Talks Knits. She gave that suggestion to just show your knits on a hanger, and that is such a smart idea. So thank you for that idea. I don't know if she watches my content, but that's okay. Okay, so yeah, knit the yoke. I'll talk about the construction, then I'll talk about the yarn next, because this is my favorite yarn. Okay, so after the yoke, I put this on the knitting machine and I knit the rest of the body and the sleeves entirely on the machine at the largest or loosest tension. So my knitting machine likes fingering weight yarn, And this is a fingering weight yarn, but it does knit it nice and tight. So yeah, if you're trying to do a DK weight, it will not match your hand knitting tension at all. But it can go up to maybe a 3.5 millimeter needle, which is what I used for the body. For the yoke, I used 3.5 millimeter needle, and then for the ribbing, I used a 3 millimeter needle. And the ribbing is just a 1x1 rib. So now let me talk about the yarn a little bit. This is my new favorite yarn. It's by Uist wool. I think that's how you say it. It's a Scottish wool company, and this is a Scottish merino. And this is their Canach base, and the color is called Corca. And it's like a warm beige oatmeal, and it's got a lot of little flecks and little tweedy things. And it is just, when I look at it, it just gives me a lot of cozy vibes, and it's very soft. It's not like knitting for olive merino soft, but it's very soft in like a rustic way, if that makes sense. Okay, sorry, I was starting to sweat and I needed to take off my sweater. But as I was saying, what I really love about this yarn is that it is also very twisted, which give that little slubby texture, just makes it seem so cozy. And by the way, this is all that I have left. So it was getting very scary towards the end. And actually, this project was a little bit of a disaster right in the middle. So for some reason I only got 4 balls or 4 skeins of this yarn, and maybe I thought each skein was 100 grams, but each one is only 50 grams. So I had knit the yoke, 1 sleeve, and maybe like half the body, and then I noticed I was definitely gonna run out of yarn. And before I had run out of yarn, like much earlier in the project, I just checked the Uist wool website, and they still had this exact wool yarn in stock. So I was like, oh, okay, well, no problem. If I run out later, I can just buy it. Okay, but then when I actually did run out of yarn, I went to the website and it was sold out. It was such a disaster because I love the yarn and I loved how this project was turning out, and I was like really devastated. And so I went on, and this is like a type of exclusive kind of yarn where they don't really, like, I don't know if it's gonna come back in stock. It seems like very limited batch situation. So I went on their website, and they have another 4-ply yarn that it seems like the color, it was not the same base, but it looked like the color was very similar. So I got a skein of that, and then I just happened to be on Instagram and I saw some yarn by Daughter of a Shepherd, and a few months ago she had made, well actually I don't know, I guess she had collaborated with Uist wool or something, and she had a small batch of a yarn called Fiber and Farm, I think. And I looked at the description. It said it was milled by Uist wool, and it looked really similar, so I got 2 skeins of that. And when it came, it was the same yarn, but the dye lot was different. So I went ahead and used that. And you can't tell that much in real life. I think you can tell on camera. Hold on, this is not even the part that is different. Okay, so the second half of the body, oh, here you can see. Okay, so this sleeve is in the second dye lot. It looks worse on camera than it does in real life. I promise. But, like, what was I gonna do? This yarn is so unique. There's nothing else that would be suitable. And then this part of the body and the ribbing is in the other dye lot. So I was able to finish. It looks a lot better in real life, I promise. And I'm okay with it. I'm not so, when I make a mistake, I just leave it in. I don't really care. It doesn't bother me. I'm just glad that I was able to finish this sweater. So yeah, there was a bit of drama in the middle there, but it all turned out okay in the end. And let me see if there's anything else from my notes about this sweater that I missed. Nope, that's it. Once this dries, I will get some nice pictures or video footage of me wearing this and styling it. But even wet, I just love it so much, and it's really soft. And yeah, it's very cozy and slubby, and I just love this design and this wool. So definitely a top tier make for me this year. Okay, so that's it for sweaters. The next finished object is a pair of mittens. And I cast these on in Hawaii because that is the most normal thing to do when you're in Hawaii. It was like 85 degrees and pretty humid, but here I was making these giant mittens. But this was such a fun project, especially after doing the sweaters. I wanted something nice and small that I could work on. So this, wow, this looks so good on camera. I love these. So this is a Norwegian inspired pattern, I guess. Actually, there's a story here. So I saw these mittens on Pinterest, and I wanted the pattern, obviously, but the Pinterest link just went to somebody's Etsy page where a woman had made these and sold them. But she didn't say like what design she used or anything, so I did Google image search, and I couldn't, at the time before I made these, I couldn't find any pattern. So I went on Stitch Fiddle and made my own exact replica of her pattern, which took, a few hours, and I think it turned out really well. And then, right before I was gonna film this podcast, I looked it up again because I had made a full chart of these mittens and I was gonna share it in case anyone wanted it for free. But then I found the pattern after I wasted all my time making my own. But anyways, I did find it. I did another like Google image search, and this time I was able to find it somehow. But this is a free pattern on the Drops website, and I will link it below because I forgot what it's called. But the Drops website pattern is like this portion here, up until this Latvian braid maybe, and then this is just this design, but like the main color is reversed, if you can tell. Like the black and white, the dominant colors are switched. So yeah, wasted some time there, but oh well. The Drops design uses a fingering weight yarn, and I suspect the person I originally copied, she also probably used a fingering weight yarn because these turned out really big. It's like a full sleeve. But that's okay. We have cold winters here in Massachusetts, so that doesn't bother me. And I love these Latvian braids here. That's a really cool design. So yeah, I really like how this turned out. I've never made a thumb before where you start increasing. It's like a thumb gusset where you make increases. Let me show you better. I made these. Each thumb is different. I was trying two different things. So you make some increases here, and then I put some waste yarn here, like in the middle of the thumb, and then I just kept completing the mitten. And then I went back to the waste yarn and picked up stitches above and below the waste yarn, and then knit the thumb in the round. So that's one way you can do a thumb. I didn't increase as many stitches on this one, so this thumb was a little tight, but I blocked it aggressively and now it's okay. Okay, so yeah, so as I was saying, I made this with a DK weight yarn instead of a fingering weight because I wanted it extra thick and big. I have big hands and big feet, so I didn't want any risk of it being too small. And I also had this yarn in my stash. This is Hillesvåg Ask, and it's very similar to Rauma Fino. Slightly thicker, maybe like a 0.5 millimeter needle size thicker. But I think that's why it turned into a big sleeve, but the rest of it fits perfectly, I would say. And this is not black, it's actually the color Mørkebrun, which I think means dark brown. But it's very dark brown. It's like a blackish brown, or like a warm, very dark brown. And I love how these turned out. They're exactly as I wanted in the original Pinterest pattern that I saw. And yeah, if you want to make these, it's a free pattern, which is great. And I think that's all I have to say about these. Okay, I actually forgot to say I made those on 3mm needles, and I started off, I cast on 60 stitches, and so that was the circumference of the mitten. Okay, I made a mistake about the yarn. I mixed up the yarn with another project I'm going to show. So this, the yarn I used here was actually Garth the Nor Organic again, just some other like kind of stash yarn I got a while ago when it was on sale. So this is the Beacons base again. So same yarn as my Serkinet sweater, but this is just their white color. I think it's called Rigging, possibly. So this is super soft. And then they have another base called number 3, and it's a DK weight, and they say you can pair their number 3 base with their Beacons base. So that's what I did. And the darker color is called Chalkboard. So they say you can pair these two together, but I actually found the number 3 to be kind of significantly thicker than the other one, which is okay, it all blocked out and everything, but just something to note. Yeah, it's definitely thicker. I'm sure you can't tell here. But anyways, great yarn. I think it's gonna be super warm. I haven't tested it out yet because it's nowhere near sub-zero temperatures, but it looks so beautiful. I don't even care if they work or not. Okay, my next finished object is this. This is the Camisole number 2 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. This turned out good too. So, what do I say about this? Just a camisole. I made it pretty cropped because I usually wear like high-waisted pants and skirts. So I just made it a length where I'd be able to tuck it in just a little bit. And yeah, this pattern is pretty easy. The whole thing is just a 3x3 rib up until here, and then you start decreasing here along the bust area. And then the edge is easy, it's just like knit and purl edge. You don't have to do any fancy edging there, so that saves a lot of time. And so I made the smallest size because I use a little bit thicker yarn, and that size worked out well. And the yarn I used is called Illimani Sabri 2. And so they have 2 versions of this yarn. This is the thicker version. It says worsted weight, but it's definitely not worsted weight. It's more like a fingering weight. Maybe I got the thinner one. I don't know. But anyways, it's a 85% cotton, 15% alpaca blend. And I was interested in trying this for like kind of a summer weight yarn. And it's really soft, probably from the alpaca, and the cotton is probably like high quality cotton as well. And anyways, I wanted to try out this yarn because my older girl is very sensitive to wool, like even merino she thinks is scratchy. So I thought, okay, maybe I gotta branch out to like cotton blends. So I'm gonna have her wear this and see if she finds this itchy, to see if she might like something in this yarn. And the color I have is 75. It's a beautiful, like rich, deep brown. I wanted something deeper than my skin tone so it wouldn't look like I was walking around naked or anything. And I think I achieved that. I think this is a beautiful color for fall, and also, well, summer's over, but I saw a lot of people styling this color with white, and I wear a lot of white, so I thought that looked good together. The only thing about this pattern that I didn't like was, you see this nice ridge here? See how it's like there's like a central decrease section here. When you wear it, it kind of goes off to the side. Like it doesn't, I kind of thought it should sit right over like the bust point, but it kind of doesn't. And I think that is a little bit awkward. And when I went on Ravelry, everyone's turned out that way. So I guess, I don't think I did anything wrong, but if there was a way to make it a little bit more towards the center of the bust, maybe I would like it more. But anyways, I think the fit is very good. I shortened the straps by like 4 inches. This is like no, it's not even an I-cord strap. It's just knitted flat, but it rolls in on itself, so it looks like an I-cord strap, but I made sure to stretch it a lot as I was knitting, and it turns out I had to shorten it by a lot, so watch out for that. So yeah, you knit it bottom up. When you get to this area, you make 2 sections for the front and 2 sections for the back, and you just do each one of those 4 decreases by itself, and that goes like pretty fast. And that's pretty much it. Which needles did I use? Okay, so I used a 3mm needle, that's my favorite needle to work with. Not too big, not too small. I started this on our vacation, like as soon as we boarded the plane, I started this, and I finished maybe like halfway through the vacation, so it went pretty fast, and it was nice and small and not too, our vacation was really hot, so it wasn't too hot to work with. And as for the yarn, I bought one ball was like 15 bucks, and I didn't even finish one ball, so I've got about this much left. So maybe I used 75% of a ball, but I also shortened the length by a lot. So yeah, nice cheap project if you want. Nice and simple. Is my first tank top I ever made. First pattern by My Favorite Things knitwear that I ever made, I think. Yeah. So yeah, that went well. I like the designer. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Okay, now for these little guys here. These are 3 little guinea pigs. So I made 2 for my girls and 1 for their little cousin. And this pattern is called Cake by Sons Popkes, and her real name is Sonia Vanderweek. And she's my favorite crochet toy designer. I've made, I don't know, at least 10 of her patterns by now. And this one was a great one. It's got a nice blob little body, so it goes by really fast. The legs are small. I don't like knitting legs and like antlers and ears, like it all adds up. But these are really, really small and fast to do. I made this out of Letlopi, which is an Icelandic wool. It's extremely itchy. I can't wear that as a sweater, but I make all of my toys out of Letlopi, and I highly recommend it for that. It's a worsted weight, comes in a lot of colors, and it's easy to get here in the US, and it's not too expensive. What color did I use? Oh, I ran out of the orange. The orange one is called Apricot, and I really like that color. I've also used that apricot color for this little fox family. I made this, I think I made this last year, but just wanted to show you if you get the orange, that's good for 2 types of animals. And it has little safety eyes in there. My girls are old enough, I can give them these safety eyes. They're not going to eat them or anything. It's got a little embroidered smile. One thing is the color work did not exactly line up with the center of the body. I don't know if that's my mistake, but I did make 3 of them and they all have that. So maybe that's the design, or it doesn't really matter. Like, guinea pigs are probably not symmetrical in real life. So, but yeah, just something to note. And then at the end, I fluffed them up with Velcro. I took one of my girls' sneakers, which is the only place I knew there'd be Velcro, and I was just like going like this with the sneaker, and my husband was like, "What the heck are you doing?" But it made it like really fluff up a lot. And this is a very itchy wool, but that process made it really soft. So maybe I should go back to all the other little toys I've made with that yarn and fluff them up, because that made them a lot more snuggly. Oh, also what I like to do is I like to fill it about 75% of the way with fiberfill, and then at the bottom, or if it's a stand-up toy, I'll put some like plastic beads in the butt or like the bottom to like give it some weight, because a heavy toy seems more realistic, and I really like to do that. So yeah, those are these little guinea pig cousins. Okay, while we're talking about toys, just wanted to give a little update on Aggi the Sheep here. She finally is clothed. I just used a little bit of like pink alpaca scrap yarn for her dress, And I made this entirely on the machine because I don't know, it only took like 10 minutes or something. And so there's a little white stripe here, and then for the vertical stripes I just did a slip stitch crochet. And yeah, I hardly did any measurements for this. I just did one giant rectangle for the skirt and then a smaller rectangle for like the little bodice part, I guess. And then I sewed it to her body so it wouldn't move around too much. And what did I do? I think I did like a little I-cord strap, which is super, super fast to do on the machine. So yeah, now she's a sheep in alpaca's clothes. I think if I were to knit her another dress, I would start off by casting on a lot more stitches at the bottom and then decreasing towards the top, so it would be more of a like A-line skirt with more volume, but I think this is fine. And yeah, so she is finally done. And in one of my previous episodes, I talk about how I made her and her little surgery she had. So if you're interested in that, it's in a previous episode. Okay, I don't know how long this episode is getting, but it feels like I've been talking for a long time. So this will be my last thing I talk about, and it's a whip. I have another whip and a lot of acquisitions, but I'm not going to talk about it this time because I think this episode is already too jam-packed. So I'm going to save more whips and all my yarn acquisitions for my next episode, and I'll talk about my fall knitting plans and everything in my next episode. So if you're interested in that, please subscribe so you don't miss it. But let me just talk about this whip. It's almost finished. Okay, ta-da! So this is the Rundt I Dalen. Forget my pronunciation. It's in Norwegian. It's by Wiola, Kristin Wiola. And she's a Norwegian designer that has the most beautiful designs. I have her ebook called 1 Year with Wiola Cardigans, and it's in English and it's digital, so it's very easy to get. And it's got like 12 sweater designs in there and a few accessories. So yeah, I highly recommend you check out that book if you like Norwegian color work designs. And so this I made out of Hillesvåg Ask. That's what I was confused with earlier. It was this sweater. And I had a bunch of that yarn in stash. This is the Mortbrun color I was talking about, which is really a dark blackish brown. And then white, whatever the white color is there. And so, I don't know if you can tell, but I knit this entirely on the machine. Whoa! So I wanted to challenge myself to see if something like that was possible from a normal pattern. So I took all the color work charts and I made my own punch cards. The knitting machine I have takes punch cards and it can do 2 colors at a time, which is perfect. Most designs are just like 2 colors at a time. And so I knit this in pieces, so a front piece, back, and 2 sleeves. And what was I gonna say? Oh, okay, so the original design is a beautiful yoke style sweater. I think it's knit from the bottom up. Oops, sorry, getting wool in my mouth. So I had to convert it into a raglan style pullover because I didn't want to make any more cardigans. I already made a bunch, and this is just faster and easier. So let me show you a picture of the yoke style, which I think is beautiful because I love the round edge of the yoke. So I kind of want to do this again, but do it all by hand so the yoke is like beautiful and round. But yeah, I did a raglan style instead because I can do decreases on the machine where the armpit starts. So that's why you see a square right angle here in the yoke instead of a nice rounded, if that makes sense. So that is a limitation of the machine, but so it went really well. The first panel I did, I made the back because I made some mistakes. So like in this flea stitch section, somehow there was just a whole line of white. I don't know. A lot of the time on the machine something will happen and I have no idea why, which is frustrating because you don't know how to fix it for the next time. So yeah, a mistake there, but it's in the back, that's okay. And then, so for the front and back, once I finished the panels, I did like a sewed neckline with my sewing machine and then cut it. So I just tried it on and decided where I wanted the neckline. And then I cut it like that, and then I picked up stitches I did a twisted rib neckline here, and then I did an I-cord bind off, a 2-stitch I-cord bind off, which I learned from the Circet sweater. Apparently you can do like even a 3 or more stitch I-cord bind off, but I just did, that looked too thick, so I just did a 2-stitch one. There's a lot of YouTube videos on how to do that. It's not as hard as it seems. If you can knit 2 together through the back loop, then you can do that I-cord bind off. And then for the sleeves I did the same thing, twisted rib with the I-cord bind off. Ooh, look at this section. This is so pretty. There's just a little pop of color. And so in her version, she has beautiful embroidered flowers on top, and I'm definitely gonna do that. I am just making myself do it last as like a reward for finishing the rest. So yeah, I'm saving the best for last with the embroidery, so maybe next episode, if all goes well, I can show you that. And then all I have left to do is the hem on the bottom. So all this green is just waste yarn that I reuse, but when you start on the machine, it's good to put a few rows of waste yarn because like who knows what's going to happen basically, like stitches get dropped and everything. But once you have some waste yarn on there and that little bit of weight sitting on the needles is something that the machine likes. So you're kind of always supposed to start with waste yarn, especially if you don't know what you're doing and you're a beginner. So yeah, I can just unravel. I'll pick up all the stitches here at the bottom in the brown color and then unravel the green waste yarn and use it again for my next project. But I love this pattern so much. Especially from far away, it looks really cool. And then up close, it looks pretty good too. But look how even the machine has done this. So I did this on the loosest tension and the machine could barely do it. This is like a DK weight yarn. My machine likes fingering weight more. It can do DK, but this yarn is very, very fuzzy. Can you see how it's got like things hanging out? It's a little bit like scratchy and fuzzy. Not that scratchy, not as bad as Let Lopey, but it's not the machine really likes smooth yarns. So yeah, this was a great learning experience in punch cards, colorwork, machine knitting, translating the pattern into a knitting machine kind of pattern. It's a bit tight in the yoke, like the raglan increases might be a little tight, but when I block it, I think I'm going to try to stretch this and we'll see how it fits in the end. I don't really know how to fix that, but yeah, just a really cool wearable experiment. And yeah, I think this looks so cool. So I ran out of white for that pullover, but luckily I finished doing all the white. And this is how much of the brown I have left. I don't think this is enough to do the ribbing. So I found, you know the beacons number 3 I was talking about for my mittens? This is really, it was so similar that I even made a mistake earlier. So I think I'm just going to combine these two and hopefully I will have enough. They're pretty, this one's a little bit warmer, but it might be okay. Well, I don't know what else to do, so that's what I'm gonna do. I forgot to mention, sorry, that it seems like this sweater is like a Setesdal inspired design, which is, I believe, is like a region of Norway where they have this beautiful black and white type of a design with the yoke and the fleece stitches and everything. So yeah, I love this. Can't wait to wear it, can't wait to finish it. Okay, so that's all I have for today. I hope this video isn't too long. I feel pretty tired now, so I'm gonna go rest. Oh my gosh, I didn't even have a single sip of my coffee the whole time because I was just too excited to talk about everything. It had been a very long time. So thank you so much for sticking with me till the end. Please give the video a like if you liked it, and subscribe if you'd like to see my future episodes. And hope your September is going very well and you're healthy and happy and knitting on all the projects that you love. So thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!